it should be expunged. Then I proceed to acknowledge the presence of Worldwide Council of Clergy, led by Most Reverend Dr. Felix, presiding bishop. They are from New Job and South constituency, they numbered 32. We also have Prince KKMA, number 1 Junior High School, led by Sarah Boatima, assistant head teacher from Kung Kantamansu, they numbered 70. We also have Prince KKMA number 2 Junior High School, led by Raphael Tay Manyabi, assistant head teacher. They are also from Kung Katamanso. They numbered 70. Honorable members, on your behalf, I welcome them to Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. You are welcome. May you have a very fruitful stay. Honorable members, next on the list is Honorable Hajia Ladi. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to comment on the statement of the budget presented to this House by the Minister for Finance on behalf of the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Mr. Speaker, going through the statement, listening to my colleagues, I can only allude to the fact that indeed this budget is for resetting the growth, jobs, and economic transformation. Mr. Speaker, what took my breath in the budget, first of all, was on the issue of our education. Mr. Speaker, for quite a long time, especially the past 8 years before this current government came into office, Mr. Speaker, all we could hear was about free education and changing times for going to school, especially the secondary school, like traffic lights, where students went to school, either spent only 2 weeks or 3 weeks, came back and had to go back. It was quite devastating for both students and parents. In order to reset, we have gone back, and in this statement it is clearly stated, Mr. Speaker, reference page 142, paragraph 1150, to look at the basic level of education. Mr. Speaker, we are quite aware that most people struggle because at the basic level, they don't have the rightful infrastructure and what have you to support them. Mr. Speaker, on paragraph 1150, if I may read, states that an allocation of 3 billion has been made for 4 sets of KG books for 200,000 learners, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 4 sets of primary textbooks for 2 million learners. Mr. Speaker, 9 sets of JHS 3 textbooks for 500,000 learners. And, Mr. Speaker, procurement of over 2 million pieces of metal mono desks and chairs, 200 units of 66-seater buses, and 200 double cabin pickups for distribution to secondary schools across the country. Mr. Speaker, if you look at this aspect of the budget, you would realize that we are picking the foundation as expected of us. Mr. Speaker, after the NDC government exited office, right from 2016, we never heard much. The Schools Under Trees program more or less came to a standstill. Up till now, when you go to the villages, especially, you will find a lot of schools that do not have classrooms, no furniture. And so, to go back to do this is in the right direction. Mr. Speaker, allocation has been made for this activity to take place. Mr. Speaker, it is very interesting for some of us to sit here and listen with rapt attention that our colleagues on the opposite side will argue and raise everything that they think they can say against the current government after only being in governance for just 9 months. Mr. Speaker, I do not know whether they know when they exited. Mr. Speaker, it is interesting, very interesting, the issue of Galamsey. The issue of Galamsey has been on their lips. It has been on their lips as if they left governance 40 years ago. Have we so soon forgotten? Have we forgotten of the committee report that was produced by the Professor Frimpong Boateng committee? Have we so soon forgotten that we in this country we listened to people refusing to even listen to that report, not to talk of saying that they will even punish those who were found culpable. Today we are talking about Galamsey and alluding to the fact that Galamsey is an issue that this current government should take up very seriously. When you have just left government, what did you do? Actually, this government is taking it up very seriously because you can see the number of people who are being held for misbehavior when it comes to the issue of Galamsey. We all know the kinds of forests that have been destroyed. Some of you went sitting at Iyoko, dragging yourselves on the ground because you thought that someone who has done this disservice to this country has been arrested. Me and you are sitting here and you want to tell me that we are not working hard against Galamsey. That is what is being investigated. And whether you like it or not, they will be taken on. Mr. Speaker, as for the corruption, it's just by us. We have a very good swimming pool, a very big one. And it is not only the swimming pool. If you talk about corruption, it's not only the swimming pool. There were bungalows there that were pulled down. 58 million Ghana cedis went down the drain. 58 million Ghana cedis went down the drain. Nobody was found culpable. All of them, the then government tried as much as they could to clear them and for them to go for free. We talk of development and we want to make sure that the grassroots actually gets what is expected of them. And yet, a contractor was taken to go and work on the Kwalagu Dam, and he took not less than 11 million Ghana cedis. And you think that this government is not doing the best? After the government has made allocation of monies to ensure that the food that has been produced would be bought and stored for the use of especially our students. Mr. Speaker, let us know that there is no way that we are going to sit and watch the rice that has been properly produced by our people to go waste when we know that the buffer stock can buy and store for the use of students, instead of waiting and going to bring in import rotten rice, expired rice, rebag and give to students. We wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that because money has been allocated in the budget, and for sure it is going to be made good use of. Mr. Speaker, as we continue, we should be conscious of the fact that in this country, the issue of roads came up very seriously. My own road is part of the Bolgatanga Boku Pulmakom stretch. Mr. Speaker, immediately our colleagues opposite came to power. Within 2 weeks, the project was stopped. And I listened to someone say in this chamber that we want roads at where there are human beings. Yes, indeed, you would say that because this is what you have done. The very onion that your wife or whoever goes to the market to buy in Accra, you do not know that it passes on that road to Accra. And so you will stop such a contract in no time. And you will sit down and tell us that we are not doing what is expected of us. Mr. Speaker, I am so happy that when it comes to health, our government, under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is taking up not less than 10 of the Agenda 111 projects. We want to let everyone in Ghana, and for that matter our colleagues opposite, to understand that resetting a country means that anything that would be done to benefit the Ghanaian, the taxpayer, should be done. And that is exactly what this government is doing. Otherwise, if we had been like them when they came to power and decided to stop most contracts, we wouldn't have done the Agenda 111 projects. But we are quite aware that it is the money of the taxpayer and it is going to be to the benefit of every Ghanaian. And so it is being done. We shouldn't run away from issues and rather try to bring issues. Mr. Speaker, I will not be able to finish without mentioning LGBTQ+++. Is it not interesting that we sat here, worked on the bill, did everything possible, and eventually, when it was sent for the president then to append his signature, he rejected it. Today, the same persons have the guts to tell us that we must sign it. We will, inshallah, we will sign it. We will sign it. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is ready to sign it, and it will be signed. Because we are not going to dance to whatever you are doing or what you are saying. We are going to do it and say it as expected of us. Mr. Speaker, if we come to the issue of projects, and we suppose that this government is not working hard to ensure that this country, and for that matter, every Ghanaian benefits, I'm not sure we would have been ensuring that the district assemblies decentralization, this is proper decentralization, are being given the funds to ensure that there are markets in basically every district, because the government is fully aware that both men and women, children, boys and girls alike, their economic prosperity many a times ends in the markets. Let us even take Accra Central. Not too far, Mr. Speaker. When you get there, you realize that the market actually needs a lot of work. Even the Kayaye, whom we were working hard to support, that when they came, they decided to build hostels for them to go and sit in. Instead of training them and supporting them, they find it difficult to work in the markets when they go to carry goods for people. This is something that we must give a very big hand clap to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Mr. Speaker, the schools that we have always taunted and spoken about, what did the previous government do? Food for students. The students in secondary schools.
Honourable Member, conclude.
What happened? There was no food. And they were warned, head teachers and headmasters were warned, if you go and say that it's because there's no food, you would exit. And actually that was what was being done. Mr. Speaker, this budget is actually resetting Ghana, and inshallah will reset Ghana to the benefit of all of us. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Haji Aladi. I will give the floor to my very good friend, Honorable Patrick Yaw-Buama. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to add my voice to the statement being commented on by colleagues on the floor. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in many years, the budget of this country was read around 5:37 p.m. It's very important to make that point, Mr. Speaker. Not during Kwesi Botwe's time, not during Kwame Pepra's time, Safu Mafo's time, Bahari Edu's time, up to Atuforsen first. Mr. Speaker, there's a reason why your budgets must be read during prime time. When our budget was read at 5:37 p.m. this year, our major creditors were all asleep. Some of them were just waking up. The Chinese were asleep. The Australians were just waking up. Our European partners were at dinner. Ghanaians were rushing home to go and sleep after work. It tells you and gives you the reason why the markets did not respond positively to our budgets this year. Why am I saying that, Mr. Speaker? The Ghana cedi experienced a depreciation in value against the US dollar on Friday, which was the 14th. November 14th, that's the day after the budget, 2025, recording an average buying rate of 10.85 Ghana cedis to the dollar and selling at around 11.42. At the Forex bureaus, the cedi was trading at 12 Ghana cedis to the dollar and purchasing at 12.35 dollars to the cedi. Mr. Speaker, it tells you how unresponsive our budget was to the market and how investor-friendly it was into the market. Mr. Speaker, I go to the meat of the budget. Adia, this is the second budget of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana. You are not 10 months or 9 months into government. This is the second budget of the President. If you read paragraph page 117 of this year's budget, and also page 71 of the 2025 budget, it gives you all the key policy indicators and programs of the government. Mr. Speaker, according to the Minister of Finance, revenue from oil is falling. And I didn't hear any specific policy measure to improve upon our oil revenues. Mr. Speaker, as we speak, the Pecan Oil Block, which has Lukoil as a major stakeholder with 38%, with Lukoil having to face sanctions from the United States of America, I expected the minister to have given us a clear policy guideline on what the government of Ghana was doing to shore up our oil revenues. And I read from the statement from the U.S. Department of Treasury Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, that all assets of Lukoil ought to be taken care of, or they should start with the process of winding up their assets by the end of this year. I know the officials of this government are interested in the second gas processing plant. But this is a very important matter that the government should have taken a closer look at. I know you are talking to some Americans on some plant in Oklahoma. Closely, we are monitoring to see the outcome of that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in this year's budget, the mention of private sector, I counted about 22 in different paragraphs, Mr. Speaker. But the private sector is not responding to the call of this government, Mr. Speaker. If you look at the macroeconomic indicators that the minister mentioned, inflation around 8%. But the ones that the private sector has to look at to take the bold steps to invest and create the needed jobs in the country were very weak and low. Mr. Speaker, non-performing loans, according to the Bank of Ghana, is just around 23%, Mr. Speaker. This compares with most current banking industry NPLs of 4.2% in Nigeria, 17.4% for Kenya, and a ratio of 1% for the South African banks. So, if the government is refusing or has not taken any bold steps to pay contractors of monies owed them, how would they be able to go out and make the necessary borrowing, invest in the right sectors of the economy, and create the needed jobs that this budget is seeking to talk about? Mr. Speaker, if you look at the cover page of this year's budget, you can see a clear Photoshop of a certain express road that the minister spoke about, that he was going to construct an express road to Kumasi. Mr. Speaker, what is the crime of the people of this country, especially those of us who ply that road to our villages, especially from Accra to Paga and to Boko? For 8 years, from 2009 to 2016, not a single kilometer of road was added by the NDC government. Yes. Yes. You come into government again, and instead of you prioritizing with the completion of the dualization of the Accra-Kumasi road, you are telling us that you are going to construct an express road. From which funds? It's a complete misplaced priority. What Ghanaians want to see is the completion of the dualization project that was started by the Akufo-Addo administration. Yes. Then you can even look at that, because even the financial models do not help you. How are you going to construct this? Through a PPP arrangement? And how much are you going to charge road users? It's for you to take that decision. But Mr. Speaker, let me share this data with you. I got it from the National Road Safety Authority. In 2025 only, deaths on the Accra-Kumasi highway is 525 for Eastern Region, Ashanti 570, and Greater Accra 331. The Speaker, so a reasonable government would take the completion of the dualization program as a priority, complete it, and save Ghanaian lives rather than taking another step of constructing an expressway, which I believe it's not a priority for Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, it's very important we look at that. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the budget also made some allocation to the agency responsible for the fight against Galamsey. Mr. Speaker, a whopping 150 million cedis has been allocated to them. I did some conversion and it came to about $30 million. It's a good step that we need to fight Galamsey. But the monetary mechanisms that ought to be in place, especially with the promise of the NDC government to come in and fight Galamsey, I believe has not been met. Mr. Speaker, we were promised a complete state of emergency by the government of the day. Various speakers at different political events made it a promise that they were going to ensure that the president issues a state of emergency. It's clear that the government is not ready. It's clear that the government is taking a snail-pace step in order to fight the Galamsey menace. Mr. Speaker, the Catholic Bishop Conference has spoken.
Honourable Member, they should stop the time for Honourable Patrick Obama. Yes, Majority Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, the NDC as a political party and John Dramani Mahama as the candidate never promised a state of emergency. Never. NDC never promised. The manifesto is there. The manifesto captures the promises we made to Ghanaians. And there are video clips of every rally, every statement of the candidate John Dramani Mahama. And he never promised a state of emergency. So I believe the honorable member can retract that and continue, even though I have no problem if the honorable member says that an expressway to Kumasi is unnecessary. The people of Kumasi don't deserve an expressway. I think that the state of emergency was never promised. There was never a commitment of John Dramani Mahama and the NDC.
Yes, Honourable Patrick Boma.
Mr. Speaker.
Did you say some experts propose a declaration of state of emergency? Or you said the NDC promised a state of emergency?
I said the NDC promised a state of emergency. And I insist on that, and it's on record, Mr. Speaker. It's on record. And secondly, the majority leader has become the chief interjector of debates. It's within his right. But the people of Kumasi, the Ashanti region, Eastern region, Upper East, Upper West, Bono Ahafu deserve the completion of the Accra-Kumasi Techiman dualization project. It's a priority that the government must take into consideration.
Accra-Kumasi Techiman?
Yes, because you can't go to Techiman unless you want to go through Atebubu and Nkranza, through Mampong. That is what I was talking about. So we need that road. The country needs it. Ayariga needs it. The people of Boku needs it. Ajia needs it to Pusiga. And it's one of the most important routes in this country. Mr. Speaker, to continue, Mr. Speaker, if you look at Appendix 3A of this year's budget, the Bank of Ghana is promising again zero financing of our budget. Mr. Speaker, we saw that in 2025, and we are seeing that again in 2026. The question that I want to ask the Bank of Ghana is that, who is funding the gold reserve program? How much gold has been purchased? How much has been sold? At what rates? And at what price? I'm asking them these questions. Mr. Speaker, what has been the impact of this gold reserve program on the books of Bank of Ghana? Has it resulted in some losses? There are questions that the Bank of Ghana will have to come here to answer, Mr. Speaker, in due course. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana is financing activities under the Gold Reserve Program because I filed a question, an RTI question, to the Ministry of Finance when I saw that the ministry had not released a single cedi to the Gold Board. I got a response from the Ministry of Finance, and they confirmed, yes, in a letter signed by the Chief Director of the ministry, that yes, the ministry has not made a single allocation to the Gold Board. So, where is the Gold Board getting its funds from? If the Bank of Ghana is saying they are going to continue with zero financing, how are they being funded? So, Mr. Speaker, these are very important matters that we'll be looking at. Mr. Speaker, we are not against a program to stabilize the currency, but the transparency that it requires. As the representatives of the people, we need to know so that no laundered funds are brought into the country to be used for some illicit activity. I'm not impugning that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thus far, I would like to commend the maker of the statement as the Minister of Finance for presenting the budget of the Republic of Ghana on behalf of the President, and ask that during the estimates and debates that will ensue, we will bring to the fore that if a vote is taken around the cabinet table, I don't think the Minister of Finance will score 30%. 10. Because 10%. He has failed to make budgetary allocations to the ministries. And they know. They know it. He will not score 30%, not 10% around the table. Suhuyini is aware. And that is my plea to the minister, to make the government function and release adequate resources for the good people of this country to enjoy its benefits. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. I will now give the floor to Honorable Thomas Ampim. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today I have listened to Honorable Patrick Boama and others, the former Defense Minister, and over the last 3 days or so, we have had the opportunity to listen to many of them take their turns to debate the budget that was presented by my boss, Dr. Ato Forson, that has received overwhelming endorsement by Ghanaians. In fact, many people have made reference to the survey that indicated that about 82% of respondents have given approval to this budget. You may choose to believe it or not. That is up to you. Whether you decide to take public opinion,
Honorable Che Asamoah, I can hear you,
or just depend on your own ideas, that is up to you. But Mr. Speaker, one thing is clear today, that the debate as to who are better managers of the economy of Ghana has been settled. If you know, you know. The record is so clear, Mr. Speaker. Inflation that we inherited at 23.8% today has reduced significantly to 8%. And nobody has disputed that throughout the debate. Public debt, as we inherited, 726 billion in December, has reduced significantly to 630 billion. Mr. Speaker, primary balance has moved from a deficit of 3.5% to a surplus of 1.6%, something they could never imagine that was possible under them. Mr. Speaker, our reserves also speaks volumes. In 2016, Osahene, welcome. In 2016, when we were handing over to the MPP, our reserves was $6.2 billion. 8 years after, in 2024, when they were handing over back to us, they had increased their reserves to $9 billion. They added $2.8 billion. For 10 months, from January this year to date, we have increased the reserves to $11.4 billion. Mr. Speaker, it took you 8 good years to increase our reserves by $2.8 billion. That is 96 months to increase our reserves by $2.8 billion. It has taken President Mahama and his finance minister, Dr. Ato Forson, and the governor of Bank of Ghana to 10 months, only 10 months, to increase our reserves by $2.4 billion. Would you compare yourselves to us?
No way.
Mr. Speaker, I listened to the immediate past finance minister yesterday, and he made certain statements. He referred to this wonderful budget as a jobless budget. Mr. Speaker, a budget that allocates $500 million to oil palm plantation, would you call that a jobless budget? No. A budget that allocates 30 billion cedis for a big push for infrastructure, is that a jobless budget? No. A budget that allocates $828 million to construct 1,000 kilometers of agric sector roads, is that a jobless budget? No. A budget that allocates 100 million cedis for aquaculture development, would you call that a jobless budget? No. A budget that seeks to restructure VAT, to give back money to businesses for them to increase their profit, to expand and employ more, is that a jobless budget? Mr. Speaker, the finance minister said something, and the former finance minister, Dr. Amin Anta, made a statement that I want to quote. He says, I am saying that out of the 45 treasury auctions conducted since January, 25 of them failed. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what the former finance minister is calling failure here, because since the beginning of this year, we have taken a deliberate decision to reject bids. In fact, up year to date, we have rejected a total of 71 billion cedis in bids. And our approach is simple. Instead of government borrowing and crowding out big private businesses, we said, no, we won't take it. Give the money, government's deliberate policy of directing credit to the private sector. That is the difference between us and you. As a result of this, Mr. Speaker, average lending rate to the private sector has reduced from 30% in January 2025 to 22.7% as I speak now. So government has decided that we won't take the money. And so the banks have no option but to lend to the private sector for the private sector to grow and create more jobs for us. Mr. Speaker, one issue that our opponents have been talking about since the beginning of this debate is to question the growth rate that we indicated in the budget at 4.8%. Mr. Speaker, I take their criticisms as an encouragement for us to do more for Ghana. That is how I want to interpret their criticisms. But if you look at it, Mr. Speaker, half-year growth under you in 2024 was 5.1%. The same period for us, we have grown this economy by 6.3%. So I want to tell you that by the end of the year, we will exceed our target. our approach is different from yours. We promise less and deliver more. You blow your horns. You promise and walk all over and do little. That is the difference between us. Mr. Speaker, I listened to Honorable Patrick Boama. He just stepped out. Talked about the time the budget was presented. It wasn't our decision at the Finance Ministry to come and present the budget that late. It was a deliberate delayance on your part that caused the budget to be presented late. And look, I was personally worried that because the budget was being presented late, it won't get the traction that it needed. But guess what? Ghanaians have really shown that they believe in His Excellency President Mahama. They believe in the policies of Dr. Kasila Toforsen. And back to the statement made by the former finance minister. In fact, I was shocked to hear Dr. Amin Anta complain that we are not borrowing more. Auctions are not coming. I mean, is it that for you, success is about borrowing? Clearly, you borrowed and celebrated by throwing a Kenke party. We don't see borrowing as an achievement. For us, an achievement is managing less to do more for Ghanaians. In fact, if quoting the Bible hadn't been made unpopular by somebody, I would have supported this by a Bible story that talks about feeding thousands of men with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. But I don't want to go there. Efficiency. So we want to manage this economy with the little resources. And that is why we are doing more, even at a time that we don't have access to the international bond market. Mr. Speaker, that is what is happening today to our economy. I have seen the former Minister for Defense on his feet, and he spoke about retooling of the military. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to be sure whether he was against the retooling of the military or not. But he chose his words and said that he's not against it, and I'm happy that he's not against it. But the information I'm getting from the military, the place you headed for 8 years, is that the 3 aircrafts that you spoke about, only 1 is functional as we speak. Only 1 is flying.
You let it rot.
Many years ago, no, not many, recently, you said they were not fit for purpose.
You let it rot.
And you justified why the president will rent commercial, will rent jet and bus in the air. You did that here. Today, because your sitting position has changed, you are singing from a different hymn. Mr. Speaker, the majority leader indicated that you get the details, the specs for all these equipment that we are buying for the military. We will interrogate them here. And I will tell you that the cost of 1 aircraft will be far less than the amount you spend for President Akufo-Addo to rent luxurious aircrafts and fly around this country. Mr. Speaker, you see, we in this government are trying very hard to fix the many mess that we inherited from our predecessors. If we go to the energy sector, Mr. Speaker, we inherited an IPP debt of $1.6 billion. As at the end of the 2nd quarter this year, the debt stood at $1.4 billion. It has taken the combined effort of my boss, Dr. Toforsen, and John Jinapor to renegotiate this debt with the IPPs. And the renegotiation has saved us a quantum $252 million. Mr. Speaker, as I speak now, the new renegotiated figure of $1.19 billion has been structured to be paid over a period of 5 years. In this year, 2025, we have programmed to pay $397 million. We are almost done with the payment of this amount. And next year, 2026, we have programmed to pay $282 million. Dr. Atoforsen says that we even want to front load this amount and pay the amount earmarked for next year, this year, so that we can free fiscal space for other things next year. ECG today is on course. We are no longer building arrears. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the trend, energy sector was having serious risk on our budget. The energy sector shortfall alone last year, we programmed 29 billion cedis. Because of the prudent management by this government, we will spend far less than that. Because we've been able to increase gas production, and that is substituting for the expensive fuel in powering our plants. If you look at the budget this year, for 2026, because of this prudence, we are allocating only 15 billion cedis for the energy sector shortfall, a reduction from 29 to 15. We are working to such a time that that amount will be reduced significantly. Mr. Speaker, these are the things that are happening in this country, and everybody is applauding President Mahama and his finance minister. Mr. Speaker,
yes, timekeepers, stop the time for the Deputy Finance Minister. Yes, minority leader.
Speaker, with respect, I have followed the submissions of our colleague, the Deputy Minister of Finance. He has no submissions on his own, save that he keeps referring to submissions made by this side. But he's made a very fundamental submission that is in error. He contends, through his submissions, that ECG, there is some prudence and efficiency there. Mr. Speaker, what he is failing to tell this House is that this year alone, utility tariffs have gone up by over 18%. They have also, Mr. Speaker, all the tariffs that
Honorable
have
Minority
gone
Leader,
up.
you have your turn to debate.
No, Mr. Speaker, it's a point of order.
You have your turn to debate.
Mr. Speaker, it's a point of order.
If he says something that you said is not true, then you can interrupt.
Mr. Speaker, Speaker, with respect, I am on a point of order.
So what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker.
What is the point of order?
Very well. Mr. Speaker, my point of order is grounded on the fact that he is misleading the House by presenting some facts that do not support the reality. What he is saying is that
I'm interested in hearing the misleading.
Sure. What he is saying is that at ECG, they are getting more revenue now because of prudence to enable them pay their debt. Mr. Speaker, that is not correct and it's misleading.
Yes, so
and I'll
state the
explain to you
correct
why.
position.
Mr. Speaker, it is misleading because the revenue increase is as a result of the 18% tariff adjustment we have seen thus far. 2, on the issue of their ability to pay more to the IPPs. It's as a result of the 1 Ghana cedi levy they've imposed at the pumps, because they came here and said that because the energy sector was accumulating debts, they needed to impose
Minority
energy
Leader,
sector.
what is your point of order? Is it the case that the revenue is not increasing, or it is not increasing?
Mr. Speaker, thank you for patiently inquiring. It is his contention that the revenue increase at ECG is as a result of prudent management. That is his contention. My rebuttal in terms of the misleading fact is that the revenue increase is as a result of the 18% tariff adjustment. It's not because of prudent management. Two, Mr. Speaker, the IPPs that they are getting more money funds to pay them. It's as a result of the 1 Ghana cedi per liter of petroleum, that levy they introduced, the Dumso levy. It is as a result of that Dumso levy, because in your submissions before the House, when you brought the levy, your argument was that the energy sector was accumulating debt. Therefore, you needed to impose this 1 Ghana cedi per liter. So, if you say there's prudent
with
management,
all due respect, this doesn't qualify within our rules as point of order. That is your opinion.
No.
He is also entitled to his opinion.
Mr. Speaker,
if you have the opportunity to debate,
Mr. Speaker,
you may do so. I do not consider this to be misleading the House, which may probably form a subject matter or privileges by the rules.
Mr. Speaker, with respect. Mr. Speaker, with respect.
I recognize Honorable Ayarga.
Mr. Speaker, with respect.
I recognize Honorable Ayarga.
Very well, if that is your pleasure.
Mr. Speaker, when the minority leader rose up and caught your eye, you asked him, and he said he was rising on a point of order. And you asked specifically which point of order. Then he said the Honorable Deputy Minister is misleading the House. Mr. Speaker, I want him to show me specifically which provisions of our standing orders say that he can rise on a point of order claiming that a member is misleading the House. Mr. Speaker, let me read the Order 122 from beginning to end, because all our, what do they call it? Our viewers are here, the televisions are on. 122 says, debate may be interrupted, A, by a point of order being raised, B, by a matter of privilege suddenly arising, C, by a point of information, elucidation, or clarification. There's nothing about misleading the House. D, by attention being called to the absence of a quorum. E, by attention being called to the presence of a stranger in the House. F, upon a point of procedure. These are the grounds for interrupting a debate. And if you want to further raise a point of order, you must also go to content of speech. That is Order 123. And show that the speech being made by the person on whom you are raising a point of order violates the provisions of Order 123 on the content of a speech. And it also says that a member or a person entitled to participate in a debate shall not make reference to any matter on which judicial decision is pending. So judicial decision pending, you can't comment on it. So a point of order can be raised. A member shall not use offensive, abusive, insulting, blasphemous, or unbecoming words, or impute improper motives, or impugn the integrity of a member. So those are the grounds on which you can say that a member is out of order because the content of his speeches violates these orders. And then, members shall not raise any specific question upon which the House has come to a conclusion during the current session. That is 5. And then, 6, the speech of a member shall be relevant to the subject matter under consideration. These are the matters that content of speech allow you to raise a point of order. I have heard people now and again rise up and say the member is misleading the House. No specific provision grounds you to raise a point of order simply by saying that this member is misleading the House. So the Honorable Minority Leader should show us specifically which provision of our standing orders he is standing on to interrupt debate.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, very good exercise indeed. I earlier on saw the Honorable Majority Leader rise on his feet to interrupt Honorable Patrick Boama. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable gentleman who leads this House did not cite any order. And I heard him, I was watching him. In fact, his attempt excited my entry into this chamber. He said that the NDC did not state in their manifesto that they were going to impose a state of emergency in this Galamsey matter. He didn't consider it a rebuttal which would be contained in his own submissions. But he got up to say that the honorable member must be interrupted. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, I am tempted to say that he comes to equity without doing equity. But since he's invited me on procedure, I would face him squarely. Mr. Speaker, he is known for convenience. He is known for convenience. Even when he himself had argued that when a matter is pending before court, this House should stay its hands. He is the same person to quickly say that even when a matter is pending before court, the House is not stopped. This is Ayariga for you. That is Ayariga, the convenience principle. He has introduced a convenience principle. So, Mr. Speaker, if he's saying that he's reading of Order 122, there is no, can the Majority Leader keep quiet and gently listen? Because that's what I did. That is the rule. You must keep quiet and listen. Mr. Speaker, the Order 122 upon which I mounted my argument of point of order is very clear. Mr. Speaker, at what point do you interrupt debate? The content of the speech is misleading. If a member argues that ECG has had increase in revenue as a result of prudence, what's the meaning of prudence? Meaning that previously the management of funds led to some waste. However, under this new management, they have taken some steps. Therefore, those steps have led to an increase in revenue. Mr. Speaker, first of all, when they were in opposition, they criticized the Haptel software machinery that has been put in place. They came, it's the same Haptel system that is there. 2, we are telling you that the increase in revenue is as a result of the 18% tariff adjustment. That is 1. 2.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, when the Majority Leader was on his feet, you never ask him a question.
Yes,
this is becoming one too many. I won't accept this. You allowed him to speak. When it gets to us, then you start asking questions. Why didn't you interrupt him? Mr. Speaker, don't do this.
Which question did I ask you?
Don't do this. Whenever they are
Minority Leader, which question did I ask you? Which question did I ask you?
Mr. Speaker, you never interrupted him. When he was on his feet,
which question did I ask you?
Mr. Speaker, when he was on his feet, Minority Leader, not a word came from you.
Honorable Minority Leader, you can have a disagreement with what he, the Deputy Finance Minister, is saying. You have the opportunity to debate. You have indicated that if the revenue was increased, it's because they have increased the tariff. If in his opinion that is prudent, that he is entitled to it. So that cannot amount to misleading the House. So, Honorable Minority Leader, you have the opportunity. You can disagree with him, but your disagreement with what he is saying will not amount to a point of order within the meaning of the rules.
Mr. Speaker, you have made a good call. Earlier you ruled, and upon ruling, I resume my seat. You, however, granted the space for the majority leader to come in to now ask me a specific question. Mr. Speaker, he asked me a question on procedure. You allowed him to flow until he finished. Mr. Speaker, you can hear him, you see? Now, you gave me the opportunity to respond to him because I had yielded to your ruling. But because you gave him the opportunity to ask me a direct question on Order 122 and 123, it was therefore important to come back to explain to him the mainstay of my argument. So, Mr. Speaker, if you are keeping to your ruling, I will yield because, Mr. Speaker, if you rule, that is the order.
Yes,
but
that
Mr.
is
Speaker,
exactly what I'm trying to do.
Mr. Speaker, again, the rule on fairness also requires that both sides must be treated fairly. Mr. Speaker, if you have ruled on my matter, then what was the basis for he coming back as if he is a presiding officer? Mr. Speaker, he came back really reading the same rules again and going on to say that I should answer. These were his words. And you asked that Honorable Minority Leader respond. That is why I was responding. So, Mr. Speaker, if this is your ruling, so be it. I take it.
Very well.
Thank you so much.
Very well. Thank you. Yes, Honorable Deputy Minister, conclude.
Mr. Speaker, in Akan, when a leader leads an army to war and he returns victorious,
Honorable,
he's given
you
the
have 1 minute
title
more.
Osahene. But when the leader goes to war with a contingent of 137 and returns with only 78, he is referred to as Osakwa. Mr. Speaker,
what is the meaning?
I was on the point.
What is the meaning?
That easy, a slave to war. Mr. Speaker, I was making the point that the energy sector is now being prudently managed. And coincidentally, the energy minister has just walked in. Mr. Speaker, he was questioning the prudence that I was talking about. And Mr. Speaker, the prudence is where ECG today is not procuring things that they don't need.
Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, your time is up. I will proceed to give the floor to Honorable Isaac Boama Nyako. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to comment on the statement read by the Finance Minister with regards to the 2026 budget statement. Mr. Speaker, let me commence by speaking to one or two of the issues raised by the Deputy Finance Minister. Unfortunately, the Deputy Finance Minister for the past 15 minutes, never commented on the budget that he himself has supported in presenting to the House. He only came in to comment on remarks that have been passed by the minority, to which he thinks he disagreed. That tells us as a House that the budget that was presented by the Finance Minister is not fit for purpose and lacks substance. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 budget is a run-off to the 2025 budget. And so the 2025 budget, it will entitle us to interrogate and find out what were the issues that were promised in 2025 and what had been the government's performance in 2025 before we can even have something to comment on the 2026 budget. Because as the Finance Minister said, why would you say that an allocation for 30 billion BPUS is a bad budget? Why would you say 825 million to construct 1,000 kilometers of agri roads are a bad budget? Why would you say 100 million for aquaculture is a bad budget? Allocation is not release. So the same way you allocated in 2025, allocation for women's banking, 50 million, it never came to pass. Allocation for quotas, 50 million, it never came to pass. It is for the same reason why we cannot trust the allocations in the 2026 budget. Because if wishes were horses, beggars will ride. Mr. Speaker, let's go into the 2025 budget as was presented and it's being looked at. At page 151, Appendix 1, yes, 151, Appendix 1C. It talks about the general performance, the growth performance of government between 2025 and 2026.
That is 2025 budget.
No, 2026. I'm referring to
2026 budget.
That is so.
Okay, but you said 2025. That is why I'm in.
No, 2026 budget. Mr. Speaker, the theme of the budget itself is talking about resetting for growth, jobs, and economic transformation. Yet, when you look at the budget itself, there is very little that speaks into promoting growth, promoting jobs, and bringing transformation. I'm saying this in the context of industry because the employment situation in this country is hinged on how well government is resourcing industry and the service sector for growth. In page 151 under industry, the industry in 2024 grew by 7.1%. However, in 2025, it grew by 3.6%, a whopping decline of 100% in terms of growth in the industry. If you go under industry, Mr. Speaker, the major areas that propel growth under industry is manufacturing and then construction. If you go under manufacturing, the industry in 2024 grew by 19.1%. The industry in manufacturing grew by 3.9% in 2024, and it is just growing according to government at 4.0, which is flat. When you go to construction, in 2024 it grew by 9.6% in 2024, but in 2025 it grew by 2.9%. Mr. Speaker, 9.6% to 2.9%. And these are the areas that the Ghanaian people are seeking for employment. These are the areas that affect the growth and development of the youth. However, you are dealing with all the macroeconomic indicators. Interest rate has fallen, all of the CD depreciation. But where is it hitting the pockets of the unemployed youth in this country? Mr. Speaker, go to service industry. The minister said service industry is growing by 6.4% in 2025 as against 5.4%. But check the detail of the service industry. The detail when you take trade, repair of vehicles and household. This is what the Aboso kind people want to see growth so that they can employ people. 2024, it grew by 3.6. 2025 is growing by 3.1, a decline. Hotels and restaurants, where Ghanaian industries are looking at creating jobs. In 2024, it grew by 4.8%. In 2025, it's growing by 3.5%, a decline in the growth of it. Mr. Speaker, Go to transport and storage. In 2024, 5.8. In 2025, 3.5%. The entire areas of growth that will propel employment for the youth are all on a decline. So what is the government telling us when it comes to employment? You are saying that you are going to employ over 800,000 people. However, in 2025, you couldn't tell Ghanaians the number of jobs that you have created. Mr. Speaker, let me move into the revenue situation. In the revenue situation, if you check the government, revenue has fallen from 189 billion to 186 billion. This, if you check the indirect tax, it has also fallen. So government doesn't even have the revenue to grow this economy. In 2026, government is still projecting higher revenue, yet it has not put in place strategies to collect revenue to grow the economy. Mr. Speaker, check the tax refund. Government reduced it from 6% to 4%. Yet the refund for the year 2025 and 2026 under page 154. If you go into the refund, it is all on a decline. Check the refund position. And so, Mr. Speaker, there is very little that gives hope to employment for the youth of this country. Speaker, the VAT reform that the minister talked about, consolidating VAT to 20% from 21.9 that he talked about. The real estate sector is supposed to be charged a whopping 20% of tax out of 5% that they were paying under real estate. And so housing deficit is going to increase in this country, and the real estate is going to collapse under this government. Mr. Speaker, let me move on to the energy sector, where my good brother John Jinapor is here. Page 118, paragraph 900 of the budget. He's saying that Ghana's oil production has witnessed consistent decline over the years, falling from 71 million barrels in 2019 to 36 million in 2025, almost 50 million decline. That is our budget talking to us. Yet there is no strategic direction in improving or increasing our petroleum sector. Yesterday, the minister brought out Springfield, that they are taking away indigenous Ghanaian companies from the energy sector upstream. I'm asking the minister, when did they go into taking the foreign entities and now they are going into Ghanaian companies to take it? In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I believe that the 2026 budget doesn't provide hope for the teeming youth of this country. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues on the other side should tell me, in the year 2025, how many people have you employed in your constituencies? Tell me, in the year 20, all of you are chasing for jobs. You can't find them. Even in the military, when they were doing recruitment, over 80,000 applied, and then 6 had to perish because of your mismanagement and the way you are doing the recruitment at the military sector. And so, Mr. Speaker, I am saying that the youth want credible opportunities for job creation. It is not just about the macroeconomic indicators. It is about strategic thinking in promoting economic activities. And I am saying that the productive sectors of this economy has not been touched. Government only promises with allocation. They don't give releases. Ministries, departments, and agencies have not gotten what they require even to grow their ministries. And that is why all of us sitting in this chamber, we can talk about the macro indices, but we are looking at ourselves miserable. Our communities are poor. The economy is looking macroeconomic right, but our pockets are dry. Mr. Speaker, the minister has to check on it. I thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, permit me to acknowledge the presence of food science and technology from the northern region, specifically Sanariugu. They are led by Sam, lecturer, and they are from Sanariugu municipality. The number 73. Our members, we also have UPSA, led by Richard Yao Fiajo. Group leader, they are in Medina, the number 56. On your behalf, I welcome all of them. May you have a fruitful stay. Honorable members at conclave, we agreed to take 30 minutes break, and this is the point to take the said 30 minutes break. Honorable members, my time is 3:26. We are coming back exactly at 4 o'clock. So accordingly, the House is temporarily suspended.